I'd like to welcome everybody to our Arbiter Sports Arbiter Game webinar today. Today we're going to be talking on our Arbiter Athlete, kind of what it is, how you can use it, little tips and tricks as we go through. So to kind of start out the process, I wanted to kind of show you guys a couple of things. So the first thing you'll want to do if you're in your Arbiter game, if you have Arbiter Athlete, it's going to be located underneath this students section here, and then you can click on pre-participation. Now if you don't have Arbiter Athlete, no big deal. You would get kind of a screen just like this. It's going to tell you a little bit about what Arbiter Athlete does, including how you can get that by calling our sales team at 1-800-576-2799 or there at sales@arbitersports.com. Some of the things that Arbiter Athlete can help you do is essentially just makes getting all the forms, getting your athletes ready to go for the particular season in an easy way, in an accurate way, and also with all the particular options that they offer. Including making sure they're in compliance with all the student information. So you can contact our sales team if you don't have it. If you do have it, what you should see is actually a pop-up here that's going to look similar to something like this. Now before we dive into this process, one of the best things that I'll show you is actually kind of a quick way of what it will look like for your students, what it's going to look like for your parents, and then what it will look like for you through our Arbiter Athlete program. So to start out here, you'll be able to see that Arbiter Athlete helps with pre-participation registration, wellness and safety, coaching management, and we'll also talk about fees. All that's going to be actually sent over into Arbiter Game, which you guys use probably daily. And then if you actually, we'll show you an example of how it also communicates this stuff to the state office. In fact, if you see here, you'll be able to see, for example, our Michigan High School Athletic Association, that's the state office there. You'll see that Arbiter Game will actually send that information to them, as well as Arbiter Athletes are going to send our rosters and eligibility. It's going to send our injured information, our coaching information for us. So let's start out really quick, kind of from a student's perspective. If I'm an athletic director, what I can do is I can actually send or print off a unique code that my students will be able to actually put into their phones. They'll text that 69274 with a unique code. They'll get that code back, letting them go right ahead and start registering either through their cell phones or for, as you can see in this particular purpose, we're going to use what it looks like when you sign in through the computer. So you can see we can click on not registered yet. They would choose themselves as a student, and they would go ahead and fill in that information for us. So we'll wait for that to kind of get done. Go through, when are they graduating, what school are they from, and they'll click sign up. Now this next section is called My Linked Accounts. What needs to happen is a student can put in the information, but a parent always needs to be there to be able to actually sign as well, saying that the information is correct and completed. And so what the student will do when they first log in is it'll actually ask either for the parent's phone number, which will allow them to set it up just like the students did through their phones, or through their email address. So for in this case, we're going to put an email address here in, and we're going to click send that out. What's going to happen is you can click and actually send to multiple parents So if mom and dad, stepdad, whoever will be controlling as far as the parent on your student's schedule, who will be assigning, saying that this information is correct. There we go, it's all set up, and our next step for our students is to fill out their athletic forms. So in our next step, the parents, like I said, will get a link prompting them to log in. We'll talk a bit about that. This is what the email will look like actually if you are a parent. Now, if we continue to go ahead, we'll be able to see the actual athletic forms. So we're going to see here where a student can choose what are they actually going to be a part of. So in our case, it's going to be football. And then we're going to see if we need to add, so if they're actually part of football in different schools, they can definitely choose that there. And then our next section will be them to go ahead and start completing their forms down below. So what you'll do is they'll actually have the student click on this pre-participation form. It's the first one in the setup here. And they'll actually fill out this information. They'll be able to put in a date of birth, when their exam was, do they have any type of allergies? They'll go through and really answer all of these particular questions. Yes, no, unsure, all the way through. They can even explain if there's a yes in there, if there needs to be anything there. And then we're going to go ahead and the students will then click sign and submit forms. Then what the system does, it automatically sets up to say, okay, let's start filling out your next form. So we see that their next form is going to be the athletic parent and concussion statement. So they're going to show them a little bit about what the concussion information is, how or what we work on. As an athlete, they're going to choose the athletic side of it. The parents will do that later on. Once again, sign and submit. Now you'll be able to see down here at the bottom, if you can see where we're at currently. So we can see that we're waiting for these parents to actually sign on their side. That way it's kind of like a double process for us. So we can see down at the bottom it says parents awaiting signature. We can also see down where we talked about the concussion statement. So if we show you here, down here at the bottom, and then down here we're waiting for the actual parents to sign that. So then we'll keep going here, like we showed there. Now, one good thing that you can see is that there's a way for forms to be sent out. So one of the forms that is required is a birth certificate. And what you can actually do through your cell phone, because this is also a mobile way of taking care of things, is you can actually take a picture of the physical form, your birth certificate, different things like that, and you can actually then go right ahead and actually hit OK, and it automatically uploads into Arbiter. So that's kind of the student side of things. We will have some time at the end to answer any questions. If you have any questions as we go through, please feel free to hit your question box, and I'll be happy to answer some of those if I can here. So when we look at our parents' perspective sort of thing, this is when our parents have accepted or gotten the email. Once they get the email, they're going to go ahead and actually select the link to actually start to link those two accounts together. So they'll actually click on that information. Obviously, if they already have an account, so if they already have other students that are in, doing school, they can actually just sign in. If not, they'll actually create an account saying that this is their parent account. And so we'll let the movie magic take over and fill that information in for us here. Here we go. Now once again, you can choose to do a mobile number. It's totally up to you. They will need to fill in anything that has a star associated to it. So that includes date of birth, different things like that. So if people are hesitant, unfortunately, it is one of those things that is required to sign in. Now once they sign in, you can actually see where you're now linked to your students setup here. You see where we've chosen football. You can also see where we're waiting for us as the parent to sign. So if you look down there at the bottom, you'll be able to see that we're waiting for those signatures to come in. So we're going to choose that. We're going to see exactly what our students filled out as far as the parent side of things. We can make sure that everything is correct, that there's nothing missing. If there's anything missing, obviously we can make a change to it. You can also see on the screen where the student has signed it and what date that they signed it. Once you're done, you're going to click on Sign and Submit Forms, and it's going to say, great job, you did it. Let's go on to the next form for the parents. Once again, this is where we talked about through the computer. You're more than welcome to either print some of those documents for them to be filled out and signed, and then if you either can scan them or you can use your mobile setup to actually upload those documents if you'd like that to happen. That way your doctor can get things taken care of here. Now once, as a parent, once again, uploading those documents, we're going to choose a file. We're going to see, here's our physical exam or birth certificate form. We'll choose that. We're going to choose Upload File, and it's going to tell us, hey, everything's great to go. Now the good part about ArbiterAthlete is that it directs you on what our next steps are, so there's never, as far as the parent side, ever questioning, okay, what do I need to do next? There's always a next button for us. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that we give, as a parent, provide, our permission that they can play this particular sport, and so on and so forth. We can see on the concussion session, the parents would need to make sure that they checkbox this, sign and submit the forms, upload in the birth certificate like before. So this is all information that can be done on the parent's side so that they can get everything completely finished. Now you can actually see now down at the bottom on the parent side where things have been completed, and there's also some sections that talk about where the staff needs to go in and approve it. And this is what you'll probably see more on your end to go ahead and approve those. We'll show you how to do that in a little bit later on here. So let's talk about how you guys do that. So as athletic director, when you log in to your Planet High School or ArbiterAthlete, you're going to see this setup here for us. We're going to select that pre-participation, and now here's our athletes. Now if you notice, we have a way that we can actually search for a specific student up in your ArbiterAthlete section. You can also filter by date, sports, or different forms. You'll also see where if you see a black check mark, that means everything's good. If you see like this one as far as the exam has been expired, and so we may need to go in and change that. Now some of these things and some of the questions you guys might have is, how do I control what forms are in there? How do I change an expiration date? We'll later on talk a little bit about fees. Everything, we do have to work with a Planet High School coordinator to customize some of these things towards your schools. If not, they're going to be very generic as you set this up. So as we keep going through, we see where those things have been approved, and we can continue processing through this. We can see what date the athlete approved it or went and completed it. We can see also when the parents did, when the staff did. Now, if there's a situation like we talked about prior to where we're waiting for the staff, which is us, to approve it, we'll go right ahead and we can actually make sure we get those forms filled out. So we can see right there, we're pending staff approval. So we can actually click right onto the actual physical spot there where it says pending staff approval. This is where there you can actually click and open up the physical exam form, making sure everything looks good there. Now in this section you can do a couple of things. If the student hasn't uploaded maybe their physical form or birth certificate, but they provided you a copy, you can actually physically put a signature date in there and put a little note saying that you have the copy there in hand, and you can file that. And then you can click approve and finalize down at the bottom. You can also choose to decline the form. So for our example today, if we choose to decline the form here, we're actually saying that we need to make sure we have the full image of the physical form, as well as the physician's signature wasn't visible, and so we need to make sure that that's done. Once that's declined, it will show up on the parents as well as the student's site to make sure that they go in and correct that and resend that back to you. Like we talked about, in a case where you get the physical form, we can choose when the signature of the actual physician was on there. You can put little notes in there, and you can approve and finalize. Once again, good thing about ArbiterAthlete, it's going to direct you on what you need to do next for each athlete. So same thing for birth certificates, and then you can actually see where everything has been completed. So if I were looking on the student side or the parent side, you can see now to the bottom where the staff has actually approved the date for that particular physical examination form. Same thing for the birth certificates. Once again, if you get a physical copy, or they can actually upload it, and there we're good to go there. Now this view audit log, that's down at the bottom on a lot of these particular setups. What the view audit log will do is if you click on it, it'll actually pop up and show you exactly what's happening. So you can see where William started out with it. We see the parent, Evelyn, come in and complete her information, and then we see the athletic director come in and complete his process. So you can actually see the process of all these particular documents getting finished and completed. And there we are. Everything shows completed, and we're good to go. Now we're actually eligible to go ahead and play our games. Now there are two other things that I want to show you guys physically as you guys look through this, and that's underneath our fee management. So our fee management is a way where we can actually charge each athlete depending on what sport they're going to. So if an athlete has decided to do football, we will actually have a section here where there is a form or a requirement for payment. Now if you click on the individual's name, you can see where athletic insurance is required. If, let's say, I signed up to play football, this automatically charges, and the individual can actually pay online. I can show you that over here. So I'll show you real quick what it will look like on the student side of things for payment here. So if I'm a student, I'm going to Planet High School. There I am signed in. Let's log in here. We can click on fee management, and this is me as a student. I can see, oh, there's my athletic insurance, and I can actually pay online right there. So it's a quick way for you to do that, as well as parents to do that, where they can actually go in, they can request a waiver, or they can pay the fee. As you know, a department, it's going to be up to you on what you guys want to do as far as charging them. You know, if we have somebody who we need to waive the fee, we can click here and we can waive that fee, or we can change the fee amount. Now this $55 is something that is set up through Planet High School, so it's something that's automatically done. You would have to work with the Planet High School coordinator if you want those fees changed in any way. Generally they are going to be standardized throughout each section there. And so that's kind of the fee management. So you can see what's owed and what's not owed, who's completed it, who hasn't completed it, and these are all the different ways that you can do that. The other one that's interesting when it comes to that comes with ArbiterAthletes is this wellness and safety. So this is where, as a school, we can actually make sure that the state knows what's going on, as well as other groups knows who's on our, sometimes either our injury report, and it's pretty simple and straightforward. We can actually choose to put a new injury in here. You can say where or what it was. So for our case, we'll say it's baseball. We can choose which athlete is actually having the issue. So we'll say John D. And then it goes through when did the data occur, what's going to be happening to that student. Are they going to be limited, out, resolved and returned, different things like that. We can go through, we can do a photo if needed or wanted. You can talk about what the issue is, where the injury occurred. So there's a lot of different things that you can do in this health and wellness. And then click save and stay, or save and leave, depending on where you'd like to do. Now, you haven't, let's say, for example, we go in here and we see here's Tim Tebow. We can click on and we can edit these. These are these individuals that, if he's had an issue, we can go back down to injury, this general, and we can say actually he's back into full recovery, everything's great to go, and we see he goes green, so he's now off the injury reserve and he's ready to go. So different things that you can do with an ArbiterAthlete. We've kind of gone through some of these options. There's different things that you can set up. So for example, on this standards high school I have here, I have pitch count, which actually shows me the number of pitches each player can do, different things like that. Once again, if you want to organize or be very specific with your group, you'll need to reach out to your Planet High School coordinator to help some of those things. But ArbiterAthlete is a great way, once again, for you guys to be able to look through all this information, control all the data, and really, instead of trying to hunt down the students or the parents to give you those particular registration, this actually allows the parents and the students to take on that burden to put it into the system to make sure that they are eligible to play for your sport. So that concludes our ArbiterAthlete 1.0. So there will be a continual effort into getting more deeper into these processes for you. I will open it up for any questions or concerns or anything that you would like to bring out around ArbiterAthlete. I'll be more than happy to ask those things. And I want to thank you guys very much for coming here today. There will be a survey that will come at the end of this particular webinar. So if you have any questions, would like to see something in the future, please let us know. We're more than happy to address those through a webinar. Once again, I appreciate you. Also, any additional questions can be sent to success@arbitersports.com or just by giving us a call at 800-311-4060. We're going to have some additional webinars there at arbitersports.force.com and then /schools. Once again, I'm going to turn it open to you guys. If you have any questions down at the bottom, I'll be more than happy to answer those questions.